Hello everyone and welcome back for another video. Just gonna quickly double check this. So for those of you who haven't already watched before, I'm not recording this one live on Twitch, but I do have a Twitch page and I would appreciate everyone follow me there. We do play some racing games there, a lot of F1 Manager. We do a little bit of league racing. I'm not very good at it, I'll be the very first to admit that one, but we play a lot of management games, we have a lot of fun. And we just kind of chill out. It's nothing really competitive or anything like that. But yeah, I wanted to release this F2 preseason predictions video. I actually put this together a little over a week ago, right after I did my 2023 power rankings. But then I decided to go on an abrupt go away for a little bit while I had some time away from work. And I haven't been able to get back to it since. So I don't even actually remember the order myself off the top of my head, other than I think I know who I've got in the top 3. But that's really about it. So this is going to be a shock for me going myself through. I'm sure I'll remember it off the top of my head how I was able to justify some of these things. But yeah, let's kind of go through the order. I'm not going to go through absolutely every driver individually. I will kind of go through, like, I believe in sets of 2. And then I think I've got like the top 6 or the top 7 like individual. I don't remember. Like I said, it's been over a week since I've put this together, but I think that's the format I went with. So let's kind of get into it. So yeah, I've created slots for 22 drivers, so slots for all two drivers from each of the 11 teams. And yeah, let's kind of get into it. We'll start at the very bottom. Actually, we will go through it one by one, it seems. I was wrong. I lied to myself. So I put Joshua Durksen. Isn't his name Durksen? I'm gonna look this up right now, because what it's like that's exactly how much this guy, I don't know what he's doing here. Joshua Dirk. See, yeah, it's Durksen. I put his name in as Durkin. I got it wrong. So I'm glad I was able to catch my own mistake even while recording it. So please just forgive me for that one right away. And I'm sorry to Joshua, but I put you at the bottom. I don't know what you're doing in F2. You should be maybe in F3. It is what it is. Let's move on to P21. Rafael Villagomez. You were awful in Formula 3. Why are you jumping up to F2? Clearly there's some money here. That's the only reason that justifies it. This seems very much like a Juan Manuel Correa situation from the previous year of why is he doing F2? It makes no sense. I get it if he did another year of F3, because had he done 1 year or 2 years? I can't remember. I feel like he had done 2 years in F3 and neither of them were good. So I don't get why he's going to F2. In P20, I put Taylor Barnard. I think he is a good driver. Like, I know P20 makes it look like I'm putting him pretty low, but I think that's more or less I'm putting PHM as a team pretty low. I don't think they're very good in F2. I don't think they're very good in F3. I think he's a decent driver. I think he's jumping too early, but if the opportunity's there, I can't really fault him for taking it. P19, I put Amry Cordel. I don't know what he's doing in F2. I think, for example, I think Barnard is a better driver than him. I think High Tech is a bit of a better team, but I think his seasons won't go as bad as it has previously. Granted, I don't think he'll do as good as he did with Virtuosi, but he's now has so much experience that it's kind of got to go at least a little bit in his favor, right? You would think? I don't know. Moving on to P18. I got Pepe Marty. I think it was too early for him to jump to Formula 2. I think he should have done another year in Formula 3 and contended for that title. I just don't really see him having that next step, at least not yet. I don't have a lot of faith there. I think he's a good talent. I completely understand why he got signed to the Red Bull team. I just don't see it though. In P17, I put Roman Stnic. So I think he's a fantastic driver, but just tried it. Their history in F2 is not very good at all. I don't really know what to make of it. So given their history levels, it's kind of hard to put them continuing to progress up, so I put Roman Stnic in P17. P16, I put Juan Manuel Correa. So I think that he's one of those drivers who I don't get why he's here. Obviously, he's got some backing, but I think he should have, at this time, he should have gone over to like Indy Lights or whatever it's called, Indy NXT. I think the credibility that he has built up absolutely works. He does have a place in racing, but it's not going to be in Formula One. So I don't get why he continues to try and pursue the open wheel category. It doesn't really make sense unless he's pushing for a spot in like Formula E. And yeah, so I don't rate him as highly as I do like Stnic, Marty, or like Barnard, for example. But I think Dams is a very good team. I think they'll do a good job, and they always seem to get some results, even with drivers that aren't always the best. Looking at you, Nicholas Latifi. And P15, I've got Paul Aaron. I think he's a very good young driver. Granted, he will no longer be under the Mercedes wing, no longer have that extra little bit of stability with him. So I don't think he'll do as good as he could have done if he had that extra bit of backing. And I just don't think High Tech is as good of a team as they might have been, let's say, 3-4 years ago, back when they had a lot more Russian backing to them. But yeah, I think he's a good driver. I just don't know if he'll have that success with a team like High Tech. In P14, I've put Kushion, one driver I've been extremely critical of both last year, and I don't really get why he's been signed by the Alpine team. He hasn't been that good, but I do know that a lot of those academy teams drivers bring in their own backing rather than they give the backing to them. And I'm just noticing, does this guy have tape covering a sponsor there? What is that? Who is he sponsored by that he has to cover up? That's kind of funny. But yeah, I think Invicta's a very good team. I don't know. I just don't see it for Kushion. I think the results in F3 spoke for themselves. And granted, he did have some moments of brilliance in F2 last year. But I don't see that next level in him. I see him in a very similar position, could end up being like a Ralph Boschung situation, where it's like, yeah, he's not absolutely not a bad driver by any means, but could just be that middle of the pack guy. In P13, I've put Kimi Antonelli. So this is probably the first one that's gonna shock a lot of people, but I'm of the variety. I think it was too early to jump him to F2. I understand completely why Mercedes is doing it, and I could be dead wrong about this one. I could be dead wrong about all of these, and I expect to be about quite a few, such as I have in the past. But I just think it was too early to jump him up a couple categories. Granted, this car is new for everyone in the field, but a lot of these drivers are just simply more experienced or have more time within their teams. I think that little bit of transition isn't going to get to him. I think it was just too early. Even myself, I do have a direct comparison, of an analytics chart where if he were to go into F3, I don't necessarily think he would have even won the championship in F3. I think he would have been a contender for it, absolutely, but I don't think he would have won it there. I still think that would have been Gabriele Mini's championship to win, even if Kimi Antonelli was in F3 in Prema. In P12, I've got Ritomo Miata. I feel like I might be mispronouncing that, but I think this is a very good driver. He's got a lot of good experience in WEC and Super Formula. I do think that will translate over. I just think the fact that he doesn't really have as much experience on necessarily these circuits and within this type of team environment, compared to the Europeans who have already been doing all these circuits within these teams, I just think that won't necessarily come to him like it might for the other younger drivers. I think he's a fantastic driver. I'm very, very, very excited to watch him. He's another driver I could be absolutely dead wrong. I feel like anyone in these top 13 could probably be contenders. We really don't know. This is an entirely new car, and there's so many new drivers. It's going to be a very, very, very exciting season, I think. In P11, I put Bortoletto. So he shocked me a lot with Trident last year. Granted, I don't know how much of that is him. I don't know how much of that was the fact that Trident is just so good in Formula 3. But, so I've put him in P11. I think he will be the better of the two drivers at Invicta Racing, but they just don't seem to quite have that step of being ultra competitive as they used to be, say, in, like, when they had Guan Yu Zhou at the team, and Callum Ilott. In P10, I've got Isaac Hadjar. So I think he is due for a big bounce back season. I think last year was extremely disappointing for him. The only real big question mark for him will be, can Campos be a team that helps him deliver that? I think he's a very good driver, an extremely good driver. This is one of those drivers who I won't be surprised if I'm also maybe putting him too high. I think he could be higher, but I also won't be shocked at all if he drops. In P9, I've got Franco Colapinto. So this is a driver who's had a lot of, actually, if I'm remembering right, because I'm literally just going off of mental stats, he doesn't have a long racing history, or at least not in the open wheel categories, if I'm remembering correctly. But like everything he's done, he's had success to the point where I remember, I think in F3, the fact that he had to do a second year was actually kind of a shock for him. Granted, in his second year, he did a lot better. I think in my F3 power rankings, I gave him like my most improved driver award. But yeah, I think he is a very, very, very good driver. MP has been a very good team over the last few years. I think he can be in the top 10. In P8, I've got Richard Verschoor. Now, this is a driver who I definitely think could drop. I think he's one of the most underrated drivers on the grid. He's just never really gotten to be in that top team, gotten that good timing, maybe just didn't have the funding to him. Clearly, he does have some funding with how many years he's done, but maybe just not that top level that's needed to get a spot with a top team. But yeah, I think he's a very good team, but it could be Trident that lets him down. And then in P7, I believe I've got, yes, the little shark, or baby shark. Is it? I think it's little shark they call him. But Enzo Fittipaldi. Another situation similar to Verschoor. I think he's a very good driver, but VAR doesn't necessarily have a great track record. As of yet, it could let him down. He's been dropped by the Red Bull program, so I don't know if that will really help him. I completely understand why he's doing an extra year of F2, but if it doesn't work out this year, he should follow his brother, move over to Indy, or at least like the Indy NXT. And in P6, I put Jack Crawford. Another driver similar to Hadjar, who I think is due for a bounce back year. I think with Dams, he'll do a little bit of a better job. Like, myself personally, I feel like I probably would rate Hadjar higher than Crawford, but Dams just simply have the better track record, better history. I think that will help him a lot. In P5, I've put Zach O'Sullivan. I feel like I might have been confusing him with Colapinto. I know definitely one of those two I was talking about there, where it's just not a big major amount of racing history. But yeah, Zach O'Sullivan has had a lot of success in every category he's done so far. I expect it to continue. P5 might be putting him a bit high, in my opinion, but ART are a very, very good team. I think they can deliver that. And P4, I put Zan Maloney. Based off of testing, I won't be shocked if he's actually higher than that, but I put this all together before testing, and actually, did I? No, I think testing had already been in progress, but I wasn't taking that really into effect. I wasn't looking at the times because it's testing. Who cares? Kushmini was like 40 seconds behind on the first day. It doesn't really matter testing. I think Antonelli and Behrman were dead last the one day, but obviously I don't expect Prema to be dead last at all. It just wouldn't make sense. But yeah, Zan Maloney is definitely a driver who I think could be very good. Rodin, or as they were before, Rodin Carlin, have always been a very good team. As I don't know how much turnover there's been from when they were Carlin to now that they're Rodin, so we'll see about that. But yeah, they're a very good team. I think he's a very fast driver, and he's now in a different support system. I think, is he like the main driver now for the Sauber development program? And they just helped Theo Porcher to a championship. I won't be shocked if they are able to help Zan Maloney as well. In P3, I put Dennis Hauger. He's been arguably disappointing in his F2. I don't think he's been bad at all. He's had a lot of bad luck towards him. I'm still remembering, like, for example, I want to say it was Jeddah of last year. He probably could have been maybe contending for pole, but got red flagged at the wrong time, and he's had a little bit of bad luck. Now, he's doing another season with MP, but Red Bull has dropped him, so I don't know if that's gonna help him, or he's trying to do what Jehan Daruvla did the year before and go for like a revenge year. So I think this will be his last year in F2. I don't see him contending for the title. I won't be shocked if he does, to be fair, but at the same time, I just don't see it happening. I can see him being near the top. I don't see him being the guy that wins it. He's just doesn't have that in him, I think, to be the guy. At least not since F3 when he was absolutely dominant. In P2, I put Ollie Behrman. So I think he's an extremely good driver. I think he will be in Formula One next year, but I didn't pick him to win. I'd seen a little bit of inconsistencies with him last year, where the other driver, who I'm sure you've kind of picked out who I've picked to win as of this point, but I think that other drivers are just that little bit more consistent. Granted, if Behrman does improve that, he wins the championship easily, in my opinion. But the driver that I did pick to win the championship was Victor Martins. So I think he's a very good driver. I think the season that he won F3, he probably could have been in F2 at that point. And then last year, his rookie year in F2, was very good. Extremely, extremely efficient. Had a little bit of mistakes here and there, a little bit of inconsistency, but every driver does. I think he is in the best position to go and have ART win a second drivers championship in a row. I think they actually won the F2 constructors last year as well, but or teams championship. I don't know what they call it since they're not building the car. But yeah, that is the order I put. I picked Victor Martins to win, Behrman to follow up in second. Notable, real big differences there: Antonelli in P13, Bortoletto in P11. And yeah, let me know what you guys think of my list. Who would you put higher? Who would you put lower? Am I just completely way off? Let me know. I would love to hear your opinions, love to see your comments. And yeah, but we're still not done yet, actually. I'm going to go through the teams order, which I think I've got right there. Exactly. So this is the order I predicted for the teams. I put ART back at the top once again, followed by MP, Prema, Rodin, Dams, Invicta, Trident, Campos, Hightech, VAR, and then PHM at the bottom. So that's it gives you a little bit at the same time a bit of my understanding of how much I value the teams. It's not even necessarily, for example, I don't consider ART to be a better team than Prema. I just think they'll have a better year this year. I think Antonelli as a rookie might be a reason to hold them back ever so slightly. And meanwhile, I think ART have probably, not probably, but maybe the best driver combo between the two, and with how competitive they are, they'll be very good. MP I can see up there. Hauger's a fantastic driver. Colapinto's a fantastic rookie. They'll be very good. Rodin's a little bit of a question mark in my opinion. Same goes for Invicta with their turnover. Trident, I'd like to think that they can go higher. Their record in Formula 3 is so good. Why? I don't get what is holding them back in F2. It literally does not make sense. How can you be so extremely good in one category of racing, but so clueless in another? I know they are different categories, different strengths to them, but the process to figuring out that learning, I would think you would be able to pick that up. I don't get it. But yeah, some honorable mentions I wanted to put in this list of, why does it look like that? Of drivers who, in my opinion, should absolutely be in F2, in my opinion. Gabriele Mini, Dino Boganovic, Leonardo Fornaroli, and Tim Tramnitz. If we were really having the best junior crop of drivers in F2, these four would be there. Durksen, Durksen would not be there. I don't think Barnard would be there quite yet. Definitely not Amry Cordel. Definitely not Rafael Villagomez. So get rid of those 4 drivers. Put in these 4, and I think we would see a lot better racing. Well, not necessarily better racing, but we would see all of the top junior drivers who haven't already graduated out of Formula 2. And I think that is the last slide. So thank you very much for tuning in, and let me know what you think. Have a good one.